So Matt, we're not sure what the turnout's really going to look like today, but OC Engine's going to record this video and they'll post it on their homepage, and then I was planning on sharing it probably on my LinkedIn and social media pages as well.
Great.
Yeah, and I know Aspect will definitely be sharing this as well as the company.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Matt, last time we spoke, I think you said you did another webinar recently.
Yeah, I run these from time to time. I was doing one yesterday with some folks.
Nice.
Max, did you just see that Stasel asked for the invite?
You did?
Yeah, do you just want to send them the link super quick?
He did.
Yeah, I just sent him the link like 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago? Okay. I would just send it to him again because I don't know if he got it or not.
Okay.
I sent it to Max.
Okay.
You can just, yeah, and then we'll just start in a couple minutes.
Yeah, let's just do like 2:10, and
Yeah.
could be some stragglers, but
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to just get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
You have a record button or
Yeah, it's recording now.
is okay? So you all set?
Yep.
We're all set.
Great. Well, hello everyone, and big thanks for taking your time today. It's valuable time, these busy times, to join us, and the OC Engine for allowing us to present our commercial real estate market overview, its impact on the Orange County startup communities. My name is David Gertie. I'm one of the managing directors and co-founding partners at Aspect Real Estate Partners, along with Gary Abraham and Dave Stasel. Aspect Real Estate Partners is an Orange County-based full-service commercial real estate firm. We've got 75 years collective real estate experience. We do have a keen focus on the local markets with a highly dynamic tech and startup communities. We spend a lot of time in that market. Today, we're pleased to have two of our top associates join to share some of their market insights, some of the views of the current market conditions in Orange County. Obviously, things are changing pretty rapidly. It's Max Sabino and Nick Whitelaw. We're also excited to have Matt Osborn, the SoCal Portfolio Director with WeWork. He's going to join and share what they're seeing on the co-working space, and hopefully we'll see some a little bit of forecasting going on. It's going to be a little bit of crystal balling. As a housekeeping note, just remind everybody, we'll have everybody on mute during the presentation, and afterward we'll open it up for a brief Q&A. And I believe there'll be a chat button at the bottom. You'll be able to submit your questions along the way, or at the end we'll take open questions. And with that, we'll turn it over to their capable hands. Take it away, guys.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Gertie. My name is Max, and I'm here with Nick Whitelaw.
Hey.
And so we're associates at Aspect Real Estate Partners. And, again, we just want to thank all of you for, virtually joining us here on OC Engine. Nick and I, we've been following many startups in OC through 1 Million Cups, OC Engine, and multiple local Chamber of Commerce. And so all of these are great, resources for startups in OC to reach out for. And so if you want information on how to get in touch with 1 Million Cups or OC Engine, contact us and we'll share the links with you. And so, as we follow these startups, and as we've grown to know them, when COVID first hit and impacted the commercial real estate market, Nick and I immediately started thinking about how that impact will affect all the startups that we've been working with. And so, before we get started, I think it's worth mentioning that, we are real estate experts. We're not economists. And so the information we provide today outside of real estate are things we've learned from our credible sources. And we don't want to portray ourselves as something we're not. And so, Nick, I'll open it up to you.
Thanks, Max and David, for that introduction. So I just want to give you guys a brief overview of our goal today. We're hopefully wanting to provide value to those of you that are listening with current information on the office and flex lease rates. And we will also fill you in on what this impact will mean for the startup community as a whole. We're also going to be talking about rent relief for those of you who already own office space, as well as emerging businesses in the COVID economy, as well as market recovery. I also wanted to reintroduce Matt Osborn, the SoCal Portfolio Director of WeWork. We're very fortunate to have him here today. But Matt, I wanted you to tell everyone about the topics you'd like to discuss later in this presentation.
Sure, absolutely. So appreciate being here. Thank you guys so much. And thought it would be good to give you guys a little bit of an overview of where we're at as a business. Obviously, it's been a wild run here. So happy to share that, share a little bit about our OC footprint. We've been changing a lot here in recent months. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about how we as a business are responding to COVID-19 impacts, and then where we are seeing needs from our members and prospective members around space going forward as we kind of enter this new normal.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Matt. We're definitely eager to hear more about what WeWork's doing. Before jumping into that, I want to discuss the changes in market rates, we're going to see these next few months. And, Max, can you tell us what those changes will mean for startups here in OC?
Yeah, of course. So, I think it's really important for all of you startups out there to know your options and generally know what's happening with rates. Some of you are growing and thriving during this pandemic. some of you are having to reevaluate your business and practices in order to compete and survive in our current economy. And, some of you may still be hunting for your first round of seed funding, but the point I'm trying to make is that no matter what stage of growth you're in right now, you will eventually need to ask yourself this question: what % of my operation costs should be dedicated to my office space? And so we're not here today to answer that question, but hopefully the information I'm about to provide can aid you in that decision. And so I want to start off by saying, we're all still new to this pandemic. It just started a few months ago. And while the economy as a whole has taken a hit, commercial real estate has been slow to reflect this downward pressure. So today's rates, they have not changed much. Since the start of COVID, we are projecting a downward pressure on rates. And we think, for some period of time, demand will decrease. And, as companies get back to work, they're going to be reevaluating their space needs. And so both of those factors directly influence a drop in rates. So for anyone out there that watches the office and flex real estate markets, you probably already know this, but the first sign of rates decreasing is an increase in subleasing followed by vacancy. And so that basically just means, companies, they're downsizing, they're moving out, and therefore negatively impacting demand. And so what I think we're going to see is many tenants migrating from Class A high rises to Class B low rises. We're going to see a lot of changes. Like, I know co-working has had some challenges, and they'll need to respond. And space that's currently vacant likely has landlord concessions in place to attract tenants. And then, even when we all do start going back to work, there's going to be changes. So we should expect to see, 6-foot social distancing policies kind of regulated across the board for, all product types, all clientele. And what that means for your office is that, if your office could once hold 30 people, it might only be able to hold 15 people if you're all 6 feet apart. And so these factors, they're all going to play into rates. And, there is good news for those of you that need space now. We think your broker will be able to negotiate a lease at a rate that's far lower than what they were 2 months ago. And then, just a general good rule of thumb that I've been telling people to follow is that you should be negotiating lease rates at a 2021 price, not a 2020 price, because like I said, rates are slow to change. And on this graph on the screen I've shown you guys, you can see a good visual representation of kind of what this timeline is going to look like. And, I think it's worth mentioning that, we are receiving new information every day. And so while I made this graph yesterday on CoStar, it could be changed and different today. So don't pay too much attention to the exact number of the rates. Just pay attention to the overlying pattern. So expect to see rates significantly down by 2021. And then, this might sound redundant to some of you, but I obviously think that you should contact your broker first before you discuss your rates or discuss lease options with landlords. Your broker is essentially a fountain of free market knowledge, and they'll have the most up-to-date current information for you to make the best decision for your business. And so I know I just threw a lot of information in there, but if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat box, and Nick and I will be happy to answer them.
Yeah, Max, definitely. I can see rates changing for the good and the bad, due to COVID-19. But I also heard you mention co-working. So Matt, can you expand on how WeWork is responding to COVID-19 and give us an overview of what you guys are doing in the OC market?
Sure, absolutely. Here, I'm going to flip my screen on if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just let me know when you take this one off. And what I can tell you is while we're getting that set up is overall, we've been expanding quite a bit as a business here in California. We're in the middle of essentially tripling our footprint over an 18 to 24 month period. As it relates to Orange County, we have 9 locations today, a little bit over 500,000 feet. We have a couple down in the Spectrum at 200 and 400 Spectrum, and then we have 7 locations spread out through the rest of the airport into the South Coast Plaza area. So another 450,000 feet in that kind of northern part of the, airport part of the city, in the county.
Hey, Matt, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I
Okay.
think you can share your screen now.
Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Great. This will be much, much better to see. Thanks. So here's an overview of our overall locations across Southern California, which also includes a couple down in San Diego, one in downtown and one in the La Jolla area. But right now we're at 40 overall, 2.3 million square feet, 40,000 desks. This is where we're going to be going through the rest of this year. So we're bringing on a lot. And then we have a number of other facilities coming on in 2021 as well. So you can see our concentration here around the airport area, which I was referring to, and then the spectrum down a little bit lower. So quite a lot here. Much of it is brand new construction product. We've been delivering them out recently, including places like 2211 Michelson and Lakeshore Towers, which are just fantastic locations, and we're continuing to expand and look where we want to be going forward. So, as it relates to our business, clearly there's been a lot that's changing and evolving given COVID-19. And also just our business as a whole. So, just overall, just real quick on a kind of overview of us as a whole, we're close to 800 locations globally. As a flex provider, we're the largest in the world. There's really no one that has the network that we do, which can be really valuable for, startups as they continue to grow, because we're essentially an on-demand service anywhere you want to do that. And, if you want to be up and running in San Francisco on Monday, we can do that. If you want to be up and running in New York City, we can do that. If you want to be up and running in LA and Orange County next Tuesday, we can do that too. So it's really a flexible solution. We're trying to do a lot of different things to really create value, particularly for those that are going through that deeply unknown period of being a startup. You don't know if you're going to take off. You don't know if it's going to need to pivot. There's a lot of different things that come into that, and our network is just absolutely geared for it. As it relates to COVID, though, let's kind of focus on what are some of the things that we're doing literally right now and kind of where's our head as a business going forward. So one of the biggest things that we bring to the table is enhanced cleaning as a part of being a fully serviced location. We have incredible amounts of wonderfully dedicated folks making sure these places are safe and clean and taken care of. We're evaluating CDC guidelines every day as those things evolve and making sure that we're doing the right thing in that arena. We're also looking at different ways to wisely reduce density, particularly in our public spaces. So we've been putting together certain blocking and removal of seats to make sure that people are observing, generally speaking, anywhere within our space, 6-foot social distancing guidelines. Obviously, we'll see how this all evolves over time. But again, we're moving quickly. And I think it's an interesting point about our business and just kind of shows you what we're about, which is we've pulled this off on a massive global scale within a matter of 4 weeks. I don't really know many companies that would totally be able to reset their whole business approach that fast. And for us, it's just an indicator of, number one, how much we care about our members, but number two, how fast we can continue to respond. So I think as people are thinking about, should I be doing a flex environment or a direct environment, certainly one thing to be considering is we're always looking how to progressively push forward our space in the best and most useful ways, whether it's through design or things like this around safety and member well-being. So just a couple things to be thinking about here. In addition to that, we are setting up sanitization centers all over our facilities now, so people have immediate and regular access to places to continue to make sure that their hands are clean and that they're getting what they need from other cleaning stations. We're also doing things like foot traffic management. So in a number of our facilities, we're working on having actually like one-way pathing through our corridors to eliminate the amount of folks congregating or blocking and clustering up in areas to help continue to manage that. And then the other really big area that we're working on every day with our landlord partners is air filtration and what we're doing to try and drive better and more useful filtration methods to make sure that we're providing the freshest and cleanest air as possible. So I think those are some big things that we're doing to try and help with COVID-19 right now. Obviously, this is an evolving situation and we're all, collectively writing the new playbook here. But I can just tell you that's what we've been pulling off in the matter of 4 weeks. And I continue to be very, very impressed with our facilities teams on what they're bringing forward to make these facilities useful and valuable to members going forward. I just wanted to show you guys a couple of examples of different locations. One of the nice things that I really love about working here is the variety of locations and the way that we really tune our design to different types of facilities. So where in the Maxwell, which is in the Arts District, has a lot of masonry components to it, we've really tuned it in with a big garage opening. You've got a different sort of atrium feel inside the Pacific Design Center. The Boardwalk, which is one of the nicest facilities we have down in Orange County, is really well tuned to some of the best features of that new development. And we have, locations in Millennium, which is in Playa Vista, tuned up pretty well for a lot of the tech talent that has been congregating in that area. And as it relates to kind of how we see folks needing support, these are the big areas that we're seeing within the Southern California portfolio today. So one of the big open questions right now is, if I've got one location, is one location okay? Or should I be thinking about having a more distributed locations set, either for business continuity purposes? Some folks are experimenting with how they want to do work from home as a regular component of their business going forward. And one of the nice things is, we can align with locations typically where employee clusters are for their homes. So they can still have access to like world-class facilities without having to run everything out of their house. And I think that's particularly important for those where they're looking for very specific talent with very specific needs, or folks that have a lot of client-facing interactions. It's kind of difficult to do from one's home entirely. So these are here. Other areas we've seen people do is expand with regional headquarters and make a big move into a market. And the nice thing with the way we can do that is we can scale that as you need it. So you don't have to take the whole thing today via direct space. You can just take what you need today and then take what you need tomorrow. And I think that's going to be a big piece of this. Another one that's coming up a lot these days is overflow space. And it really has to do with some of the concepts around de-densifying the workplace. So if you have a facility, as an example, let's say it's a direct location, and it's pretty well dense and it's pretty well occupied, and you want to take a look at as a business owner or a manager responsible for real estate, how to do this in a less dense way, you may need to immediately grab some additional space. And it's one of the things that we can provide right now, which is, again, we've always said it's space on demand. Direct solutions are going to be 9 months, most likely, unless it's some sort of, spec suite that's available. Obviously, there's going to be some subleasing stuff coming on board, but it doesn't have nearly the flexibility that we'll be offering. So, we're here to basically help you turn on and deal with some of the change as it's happening in real time, which is one of the unique advantages that folks like us can provide. In addition, we've got local touchdown spaces. So if you just need places for people to go for little bits of time, we can help you work with that. And then another area that we're continuing to see a lot of requirements right now is around swing space, particularly for those who have signed recent leases with direct space. A lot of construction is getting delayed. We've had a number of folks call us asking for help because they're entering into holdover on their existing lease, and we're a pretty darn economical solution to deal with that. So we're continuing to see that. We expect more of that, particularly when we think about where developments are going in this downturn and uncertain time. I expect more of that to come as well. So I hope that gives you guys like a pretty good overview of what we have. I open up to you guys. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer any, or otherwise I'll just turn it back over to you.
That's all great information, Matt. Thanks for that. It's a very timely update and it's very valuable. I'm sure you have some questions either as a follow-up at the end or maybe once this gets posted. So we'll make sure to keep that information live for you. I know I've spent over 30 years, doing commercial real estate here in the Orange County market. It was super exciting to welcome WeWork to the market, which was a new twist on what was a traditional, executive suite or shared space workscape. And really changing that dynamic of it. So, we're all kind of facing the same challenging times. WeWork's been in the news a lot lately, and I'm sure we'll all come out ahead, better, as they say. So we're looking forward to working, continue working together with you as a strategic partner. It's really helped to serve, a lot of our clients in the startup community, which traditionally are smaller in nature, and they tend to grow exponentially and quickly, as you know. So I think with that, Nick, do you want to give us some insight on rent relief, how to attain it, other forms of assistance available to startups right now? Do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say thanks, Matt, for all the information you gave us about WeWork. But to turn it over to rent relief, some of you listening may already have an office, and this is likely something you've already considered. But, a good question to ask is, have you recently, are you eligible for rent relief? And I think the answer is not a fact of eligibility. It's, can you pay your rent? Your landlord will want to know if your business is operating at full capacity, limited capacity, or not even at all. And the answer to that will determine, what level of rent relief you'll be provided. Landlords ultimately, they want to keep their tenants happy, and they want their buildings to stay full, and they want to limit vacant space. And in order to accomplish this, many are providing some sort of concessions, whether it's rent deferral or abatement. I think the most important thing to do prior to contacting your landlord is, reach out to your broker. We're here to help, whether it's us or your current broker at the time. Everyone has some great information on how to approach this information. I think you should obviously cut out necessary expenses, but contact the SBA for a loan and possibly look to downsize or even sublease your space if you can't handle your rent. But again, you should definitely contact your broker first before making any major decisions. At Aspect, we have some great connections and partnerships with the SBA. Should you need a loan, just reach out to us and we'll get you in touch with the best person.
So thanks, Nick. That's very valuable information as well. Do you expect to see any sort of changes in the business community? We also know, many businesses have been operating online in order to stay relevant through this transition period. And how will this affect us in the more mid and long run?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to tech specifically, there's going to be an increase in the development of software that helps other businesses interact with their employees and clients without necessarily meeting face to face. We've already seen companies like Zoom and DocuSign have increased in value because of the effects of COVID-19. Businesses will definitely look to have more of an online presence rather than, the past, what we've been experiencing. I can tell you from, local perspective, there will be a re-emphasis on our local businesses in the community. For example, we have been working with the Irvine Chamber's business outreach program to help bring life science companies into Irvine from the United Kingdom. Even though we're going to still try and do this, we're now gearing towards an emphasis to make sure that businesses within the community are staying afloat, given what's going on, because we know that a lot of businesses are struggling. So we highly recommend you reach out to your city chamber. They have a ton of resources to help you out in this difficult time.
Well, it's a great job, guys. So to recap, we've covered market rates. We've discussed co-working, specifically with Matt's assistance and WeWork, rent relief, and some of the emerging business trends. Max, why don't you tell us about what market recovery and what the new normal, as we all love to use that phrase, it's getting overplayed now.
Yeah. So, I think it's going to be pretty interesting how we recover from this. I think recovery is going to look a lot different than what we've seen in past recessions. And, I kind of want to be careful with this topic because, when talking about real estate market recovery, you kind of have to talk about general economic kind of terms and trends. And, again, I'm not an economist, and the information I have on market recovery is kind of just from what I've been learning as we go through this pandemic. And so, what I think is obviously we're not going to see any sort of recovery until government social distancing recommendations are lifted. And so in terms of, the real estate market recovery, the major factors I'm watching right now are, demand, supply, and virtual offices. And so, nobody can truly predict this yet, but, I'm thinking our economy will fundamentally change and come back even stronger than it was 2 months ago. And, certain sectors will have an increased demand, such as community banks, pharmaceutical companies, and, our offices and demand for offices will be different as a result of these changing sectors. I think in order for our nation to kind of ensure our economy recovers strong and to prevent a similar pandemic from occurring again, we might be seeing some kind of government control on product security and national security. Again, I'm paraphrasing from other sources I've read, but I think we can look for potential changes in government regulated supply for critical products in the US. And, a great example of why that would be beneficial is, the current ventilator shortage we're seeing right now. And so, all of these changes in the economy, they all come together and will impact commercial real estate markets. And so, there may be increased warehousing for the critical products and increased storage for consumer products, as a result of the rise in e-commerce we've been seeing. Or, there could be a change in demand for office space because certain sectors grew exponentially and other sectors, found virtual work to be even more productive than a physical office. And so, the jury is kind of out amongst professionals in the industry, but one thing many of the sources I've been studying and learning from all seem to agree, and I agree with them, is that our economy will fundamentally change, and it will, we think, be for the better coming out of this pandemic.
Well, again, great guys, it's all great info. Thanks to Max, Nick, for putting this together, and Matt for joining us, and thanking everybody else for joining us as well online. We're going to open up for questions. I don't have in my queue any questions. You might see them, Max, as the host, or maybe Matt as a co-host. If not, if you guys have any questions internally, or if anybody else online wants to speak up, it'd be a great time to answer.
Yeah, I was just going to speak up for a second. Due to time constraints, I want to limit the questions that we're, asking, but I want to talk to Matt for a second. And during this whole time, is WeWork currently open? Are people allowed to go in the office? Or, do you guys have a time or a plan to reopen to your clients?
Sure, great question. We're open today everywhere. What I think a lot of people aren't always as aware of with our business is that we have a number of critical members who are working in essential businesses or industries, whether that be in healthcare, in properties. It's pretty wide ranging, and it's not always known. So we are open because they're open for business and they got things to do. Not to mention the fact that we still have things like those that aren't there, localized services to the building. We run all the mail for our members, which has been kind of being checks for payments or needing to take care of invoices and things like that. So we're running through all that right now. I expect we'll be seeing people coming back fairly soon. Obviously, it's dependent upon shelter in place guidelines, but obviously in California, and particularly in Orange County, I think we're starting to see a fairly new stance that people are trying to find ways to reopen again. So I don't expect this to go on forever here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
And if anybody watching this has any additional questions that they think of later, all of our contact information is on the screen right now. So feel free to reach out to any of us and we will try to answer all your questions promptly.
Yeah, I think also we've been real active on the social side, and we're really trying to be resourceful. One of our other partners, Gary, especially, is kind of headed up. We've got a lot of things posted, and we're trying to do it as often as we can. As brokers, we're commissioned, so we're trying to do deals. But we spent the last 30, 45 days really trying to help advise existing and new clients on really which way is up and kind of how to see sort of out through the fog. It looks like things are starting to kind of gel a little bit in terms of the news that's coming out. So as we start to transition to a reopening phase, we'll try and keep everybody else apprised either through our website and a lot of the things that we're pushing out. So we'll welcome Matt to be a part of that as well, because I think a lot of what we're going to see transitioning back is going to be reshaped and maybe smaller and hopefully faster and stronger.
Great. Yeah. So, thank you all for tuning in today. I don't think I see any more questions right now, but, feel free to reach out to all of us. We really appreciate you tuning in and watching us. And we hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, and hope you all have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks again.
Thank you.